Students with talent but not influence find themselves in raw yellow. And there are worse places to be: private rooms, regular meals. While yellows get access to new cards after the blues, they've turned that disadvantage into a source of pride. They've developed a reputation for clever deck building, often proving that they don't need the best cards to outsmart their wealthier competitors. The yellows had some of the highest marks on the entrance exams. By rights, many should be at the top. But the world isn't fair, and Duel Academy never claimed to be an exception. While they can technically transfer into Obelisk Blue, the barrier to entry is high. You can't just be good. You have to be undeniable. In Raw Yellow, intellect is the name of the game, and tasked with sharpening that intellect is Professor Kabayama. I hear Daitakuji has been making fun of the importance of the damage step. Kabayama's eyes gleamed with mischief. Perhaps it won't be quite as essential as blocking bullets with your minds, but as duelists, your proficiency in the game will be key to your success. And since we're talking about it, pop quiz. Can someone name for me all the stages of the battle phase? How about you, dear boy? Sho panicked. He looked at Judai, who gave him a thumbs up. That's right. He studied this one, he knows this. The battle phase is divided into 4 steps: start step, battle step, damage step, and end step. You're not wrong, but incomplete. Would anyone like to assist Mr. Marufuji? A blue girl's hand shot up at the front of the class. The damage step is further divided into 5 more stages: the start of the damage step, before damage calculation, after damage calculation, and the end of the damage step. Do not fret, Mr. Marufuji. Now you'll never forget it again. Great work, both of you. Full marks. Professor Kabayama is one of the Academy's most beloved professors. He serves as the headmaster of Raw Yellow, the Duel Monsters strategy instructor, and the Academy's ever-present librarian. He is also a world-renowned chef, and every student knows that he is always available in the library for private lessons. But these aren't boring textbook drills. Kabayama loves to challenge his students with his famous duel puzzles, seemingly impossible scenarios that dare students to win in just one turn. And when they finally solve the puzzle, he gives his signature line: full marks! Until lately. In the week leading up to the tournament, Kabayama has become strange and distant. Wonder what that's about. Daichi Misawa. In the late hours of the night, after most students had drifted off to their dorms, Daichi Misawa remained, his favorite part of the day. The lecture hall belonged to him now. The vast whiteboard, a canvas for his genius. He moved across the floor in slow, deliberate strides, scrawling equations like a composer drafting a symphony. Misawa was not just studying the game, he was dissecting it, reinventing it, speaking to it in a language only he understood. And then, oh wow, get a load of this guy. A disruption cut through the harmony. 2 Obelisk Blue students stood at the top of the lecture hall stairs. Misawa didn't falter. Their voices were unwanted, irrelevant. His symphony didn't miss a beat. Those guys weren't exaggerating. Toramaki, look at this guy. Look at all those numbers. He must have been in here for hours. What even is this? Hey, you really think this crap is going to help you win duels? Misawa's hand slowed, but he sharpened his focus, maintaining concentration. They were just noise, flies buzzing in the distance. But the thing about flies is, they rarely know when to quit. Hey, freak, I'm talking to you. The symphony shattered. Misawa turned. 39%. What? You have a 39% chance of opening a card that you run in 3s. Each turn after that, if you have not yet drawn one of them, the chance to draw it goes up by 5%. Application. Assume an opponent is running 3 cards that serve as back row removal, say Heavy Storm, MST, and Dust Tornado, as has become common in the Pro League since the recent release of Floodgates like Gravity Bind and Messenger of Peace. That means they have a 39% chance of drawing Spell Trap removal in their opening hand. By their 4th turn, they have a 54% chance. Imagine their 4th turn is coming up and you're trying to decide whether to activate an important continuous spell or trap. Let's say, for example, that horrendously inconsistent Dust Barrier card that you used a few days ago, Toramaki. Probability-wise, if you really needed that effect to go off, your best bet might be to bait out their removal with less important back row before making your big play. But my guess is that you two aren't really interested in what your best bet is, because if you were, you would have something better to do at the world's most prestigious academy than waste your time and your parents' money wandering around looking for someone to pick on. But then, I guess, what else would you do? You're not here to learn, you're not here to challenge yourselves, you're here because your parents told you that you had to be, because they're scrambling to salvage their failed legacies, hoping this place might force you into some kind of competence. So, I suppose when all you've got to look forward to is running your family's names into the ground, attempting to make others feel small is all you've got left. But whatever you decide to do, please, do it somewhere else. You're out of your depth. Toramaki was stunned. He looked to Motatani for guidance, who was fuming with rage. Motatani stepped forward, getting in Misawa's face. You think you're so smart, huh? Big talk for someone with no friends. Let me remind you of something. We're actually from the circles that everyone comes to the academy to be a part of. And in those circles, no one likes a freak. So go ahead, graduate with honors. If you're lucky, you'll impress someone powerful who can call you in when they deem you useful, and then make fun of you behind your back. I'll see you in the tournament, and we'll see if this so-called brilliance of yours means anything in the real world. Misawa turned back to the whiteboard. He found his hand tightening around the marker until his knuckles turned white. With a quiet sigh, he capped the marker and gathered his notes. It was time to turn in for the night. The next morning, the boy's words were still echoing in his mind. Misawa had always prided himself on being above petty social politics. He was a genius, the best of raw yellow. So why couldn't he shake this feeling? Suddenly, something happened that had not happened since Misawa had arrived on the island. Someone was knocking on his door. Misawa hesitantly opened the door to find himself bombarded with the chaotic energy of 3 Slifer Red students. Judayuki, grinning from ear to ear, almost vibrating with excitement. Sho Marufuji, halfway through trying to physically hold him back. And Hayato Maeda, eating pretzels like this was his morning entertainment. Shut up, Sho. I'm doing it. Hayato, please, calm our little ball of anxiety back there. Misawa, my man, the legend himself. First place on the entrance exams. That is so freaking awesome. We were talking about it last night, and I was like, this guy's probably some ancient dueling prodigy who trained in the mountains. But Sho said you probably just studied really hard, which, by the way, is still impressive. Oh, also, I'm Judai. This is Sho. That's Hayato. Sorry, I should have started with that. Misawa blinked. But listen, I gotta come clean. This isn't just about saying congrats, which, again, congrats, but also I need you to know something very important, which is that you're currently number 1, but only until I win the tournament, which I will, at which point I'll be number 1. But you'll still be first number 1, which is a cool title. So really, it's like a win-win for both of us. Please, Misawa, I am so sorry. I told him this was a bad idea. I told him people don't just show up at other people's doors to yell about test scores, but he doesn't listen to me. Sho, don't be scared. Remember what Tanaka said. It's important that we're always... wait, what's the word again? Hayato, what's that word again? Networking. Yes! Sho, we're networking, which means networking on our homework and instead making as many pals as possible. Oh, Misawa, Tanaka says that at fancy schools, making friends is even more important than good grades. No wonder everyone wants to come to Duel Academy. Don't forget to say the part about challenging him to a duel on the spot. Oh yeah, Misawa, I challenge you to a duel. Oh my god, guys. Did anyone pick my deck up from under the bed? Remember when Pharaoh knocked it over this morning? Okay, fine. Sorry, Misawa, I was gonna challenge you, but Pharaoh knocked my cards over this morning, and technically it is Sho's turn to clean the— Oh wait, do you know Pharaoh? He's the dorm cat. Great guy. Watch out with that one, though. Has been known to eat cards. Not mine, though. We're bros. You'll get there someday. Point is, no deck, so duels off. But also, it's better that way, so that you and me can have an epic finale when we fight in the tournament finals. The finals between a red and a yellow. What about my brother? Does the strongest duelist in the school factor into this equation somewhere? Yes, he does, and you're looking at him. Me, not Misawa. No offense. And, you know, between you and me, don't tell Sho, but the Kaiser doesn't sound so tough. I bet either of us could take him. Anyway, speaking of equations, the other reason we're here is that we want you to teach us about those crazy magic spells you're doing on the board all day. Not the boring number stuff. I can't do math. I have a doctor's note, but I was more thinking that after you do the number stuff, you could show us the cool, mind-blowing stuff where you see the future because you know all the patterns. Judai gave Misawa a hopeful grin. Sho gave up, giving his best grin as well, hoping it might salvage the situation. Hayato applauded. Well, what do you know about hypergeometric distribution? That's a spell card, right? For the first time in years, Misawa laughed out loud. Briar. In a school built for big personalities and bigger egos, Briar seems like he made it in by mistake. A tiny, anxious kid, his dual disc seems just one size too big, always on the verge of slipping off his arm like borrowed armor. It wasn't always this way. Back home, before Obelisk Blues turned him into a walking punchline, Briar was the kid people whispered about at locals, the one who could dismantle your deck after watching it for 2 turns, who carried a battered notebook overflowing with theory, engine ideas, and wild text no one else would think to try. But here, under the weight of the Obelisk's jeers, it never seems to matter. The moment the spotlight hits, he freezes up. But late at night, when the halls are quiet and it's just him and his best friend sitting in his dorm room, that spark comes back. He starts talking fast, hands flying, explaining some crazy combo that could shake up the Academy's meta. In those moments, Briar almost believes in himself again. Almost. And across from him, helping develop every theory, is his best friend, Beauregard. Beauregard is Duel Academy's gentle giant, a walking contradiction in a too-tight jacket. He's enormous, but he's always folding inward, trying to disappear. The Blues have a field day with him, calling him the Tower of Terror, a not-so-subtle joke about how anxious he is. The only time Beauregard feels like himself is when he's sitting on the floor with Briar, decks spread out between them, brainstorming like mad scientists. That's how they became friends. 2 misfits obsessed with the game beneath the game. To Briar, creative strategies are a weapon, a way to prove himself and climb the ranks. To Beauregard, they're a puzzle, something to tinker with just because it's fun. He's always loved the overlooked strategies and offbeat cards that nobody uses, the rules that bend if you look at them sideways. Deep down, Beauregard dreams of building his own game someday, but that's a dream he's never said out loud. In truth, he doesn't believe that someone like him, clumsy, self-conscious, could ever make anything that matters. One day, while Briar was walking past the duel arena, he overheard a commotion on one of the fields. He peeked his head in to find a Slifer Red first year taking on one of the loudest Obelisk Blues on campus, Judai Yuki. Briar had heard his name whispered through the dorm halls. Apparently, he had been dueling as many people as he could find, and he still hadn't lost yet. Some said it was luck, others said he cheated, but Briar could see the truth within the first few turns. Judai was good. After Judai countered his opening combo, the Obelisk snarled. You think you're funny? No, I think you're pretty good. That was almost a perfect chain too. If I didn't have this trap ready, you totally would have had me. I mean, you could have waited a bit maybe. Oh, like if you had changed it off the second effect instead of the first, that would have totally got me. Anyway, super cool combo. Briar could feel the Obelisk's rage radiating off the field. His moves got sloppier, his breathing sharper, and Judai just kept talking. And then it was over. Judai won with a radiant smile and a handshake that the Obelisk refused to take. Briar was stunned. This Slifer defeated that Obelisk without even cracking a sweat. And more than that, He had enjoyed every second of it, even the parts where he messed up, even the parts where the obelisk shouted at him. That night, Briar sat across from Beauregard, shuffling his deck over and over. We should be more like him. Huh? Judai, the Slifer. He beat that obelisk today and he didn't even care if the guy was stronger or richer or whatever. He was just dueling. And he didn't care if he looked dumb or if he said the wrong thing or messed up a move. Yeah, but we're not like that. We could be. We're smart. We've got better ideas than half the obelisks combined. One of us could win this tournament. We could take that spot on the board and make the school do something to end bullying. You really believe we could do something like that? To be honest, no. I don't believe I can. But I believe in you. You believe in me? Hell yeah, I believe in you. Well then, even if I can't see it, I don't want to let you down. And you better not let me down either. America Uchimura. Born to two fastidious bankers who believe in the holy trinity of discipline, practicality, and compound interest, America Uchimura understood his role early. Get good grades, dress appropriately, and don't embarrass the family at neighborhood functions. Even his hobbies were practical. Chess club, economics competitions, anything that could someday make a good line on a resume. His path was simple. College, finance degree, respectable firm. A good life. A stable life. Until the day he saw his first pro duel. It was pure accident. One moment he was flipping through channels, the next his heart was in his throat. There it was, a pro league match mid-play with flashing lights and roaring crowds. It was drama, invention, spectacle. It hit him square in the chest. America spent weeks building a case to present to his parents, complete with financial projections and market analysis, proving that top duelists could out-earn even the senior bankers at their firm. It was a hard sell, but the numbers didn't lie. They agreed, on one condition. If he couldn't break into the pro circuit by graduation, he'd come home and fall back in line. Now at Duel Academy, America is rigorous with his studies. He spends hours in the library, poring over duel puzzles and studying under Professor Kabayama, or he did until Kabayama started closing the library early. What's up with that guy? Maybe he's depressed? America has seen that enough times in his parents. He made a note to check on that. Anyway, sorry, back to the bio. America has honed in on a deck-out tactic, something that will catch the others off guard. At the academy level, most duelists don't have access to the best forms of spell and trap removal, and America hopes to use that to his advantage. Of course, that street went both ways. Not even the Blues had access to the recently released floodgates that would make a deck like this flourish, so America knew he had no chance of acquiring them. But America doesn't let that stop him. For him, this quirky strategy is about something more. He's always been so bound by rules, always following the path laid out for him. But he's feeling creative, feeling free. He's bringing a deck-out deck without floodgates to the Academy tournament. And if he can make his mark, he can prove to his parents and himself that maybe the straight path isn't always the one worth taking. Ishiki Arishi. The dinner at Industrial Illusions had been a turning point for Ishiki. Since that night, Takadera's absence has loomed over him. He'd been so naive. When Takadera stopped responding, Ishiki just assumed it was growing pains, that they'd all moved on. But now that he knew the truth, his nights were plagued with nightmares of Takadera. Takadera had needed him, and Ishiki wasn't there. And now, it was too late. But wait, was it too late? In a weird way, Ryota was right. Takadera could still be out there somewhere, and that meant that he could still need help. Ishiki knew that he would never forgive himself if he didn't do everything he could to help him. And there was the other problem, Ryota. There was something dark in his friend's eyes that night. Ishiki shuddered, imagining Ryota facing the same fate as Takadera. No, he would not stand idly by, not again. So Ishiki made a choice. He would go with Ryota to Duel Academy. Together, they would uncover the truth about Takadera and they would bring him home. But they would do it Ishiki's way. They wouldn't take risks, they wouldn't walk blindly into whatever this was. And maybe just maybe, Ishiki would be able to pull Ryota back from the brink while they did it. As they moved through the forest, Ishiki's mind worked at full speed. They'd been at this for weeks, and it was finally becoming a bit more instinctual. There was something satisfying about it, charting the island bit by bit. His mind tracked every detail, every difference, learning to see the world differently. He glanced at Ryota, who was looking at the ground, bored, his hands jammed in his pockets. Ishiki could sense it too, the frustration of coming up empty-handed. He knew Ryota was starting to doubt the effort, but Ishiki was resolute. There had to be something on this island that would bring them closer to Takadera. Then Ishiki noticed something up ahead. "What's up?" Ishiki raised a hand, signaling silence. In the clearing, through the trees, he could see the corner of a structure. His heart beat faster. There was a building tucked behind the overgrowth. Ryota followed his gaze, raising an eyebrow. "Is that a dorm?" Ishiki stepped closer, studying the building, his instincts kicking in. It had been cleaned up recently, given a fresh coat of paint, windows that seemed too new. The doors were reinforced, heavy metal frames bolted shut with unmarked security locks. The windows had narrow bars running across them. Ishiki's breath quickened as he pieced the information together. This is where they kept them. The experiments. Ryota studied the building, then slowly a smirk formed on his face. "You think so? How can you tell?" "I'm sure of it. This place is too designed, too reinforced. This wasn't just a dorm. This was a containment facility." He stepped forward, intent on getting closer, but as he did, a chill ran through him. Something was wrong. Ishiki's gaze snapped to the tree line. For a moment, he could have sworn... There it was again. He froze. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. There was someone, or something, out there, just beyond the darkness. Watching. Ishiki grabbed Ryota's shoulder and yanked him back. "We're leaving. Now." "What? What's wrong with you?" "I said we're leaving." Ryota scoffed, about to make a sarcastic remark, but Ishiki didn't let him. "I'm serious. There's something out there. We're not doing this. Not tonight. Let's go." "You're kidding. You're really backing down now?" "I'll report you for trespassing. I'll call security. You want that on your record?" For a few tense seconds, Ryota just stared at him, the way one wild animal locks eyes with another, testing if it's worth the fight. Ishiki didn't flinch. Finally, with a huff, "Fine, whatever. You're no fun." He stomped off down the trail. Ishiki lingered for a heartbeat longer, sweeping his gaze over the tree line where the night pressed too close. He couldn't see it, but something was out there, watching, waiting. And as he jogged to catch up, he knew in his bones that they hadn't just turned back. They'd been turned away.